Back with you tonight on In Focus. Thanks for staying on. South Africa's Human Rights Commission has announced it has made contact with families of the victims of the tragedy that took place at the Enyobeni tavern in East London at the end of June. The body further revealed it will be offering the families assistance with litigation against those ultimately found responsible in the deaths of the 21 young people. The announcement comes after authorities held a press conference this week where they announced that methanol, often deliberately added to alcohol beverages by unscrupulous and illegal operators, was found in the bodies of those who died. Joining us now to elaborate on their intervention is South African Human Rights Commission's Eastern Cape Provincial Head, Dr. Eileen Carter. Dr. Eileen, good to have you once again tonight here on In Focus. In our last conversation, of course, you were going on this fact-finding mission, for lack of a better word, but it was a consultation process with the families to find out exactly what happened, but to also have a look at the scene. What are you discovering in that process?
Good evening, Tava. Good evening to your viewers. You're correct. We've been on a fact-finding mission as part of our investigating authority and our protection mandate. And in doing that, we've gone around to engage with the community specifically. And then after the funeral was held, we very specifically zoned into making contact with the families. We have been speaking to them on what services have been provided to them and what services are currently lacking, and very specifically whether we can provide support should they consider litigation in this regard. So what we are currently doing is we are assessing the information that we are receiving from the families, and we are liaising with our legal fraternity partners as well, so that when these decisions are formalized, when we have the outcome from the pathology reports on the cause of the death specifically, that the Human Rights Commission is in a position to provide support should the families wish to make use of that.
So outside of the legal issues, which we'll get into in a moment, what is the available support that is being offered to the bereaved families from the provincial government at this point?
Well, I think the information that we are receiving differs from family to family. There are families that have indicated that they are receiving counseling services. However, we are concerned that a large portion of the families have yet to receive counseling services. Now, we're not sure where to put the blame for that, but what we can do as the Commission is we are making contact with our partners within the counseling fraternity, and we're trying to secure very urgent counseling for those families who've indicated that they have yet to be debriefed. So that's very important for us, Tavo, so that we can have a strategy, an immediate strategy, to bring some form of relief to these families who have been faced with this massive tragedy, but also have a longer-term strategy where we can be able to provide support should they wish to take up litigation in this regard. Yeah.
In terms then of the preliminary findings where we, for example, know that the Liquor Board has put up a case and two people, I think, have been arrested, one the owner and some other person, but also hearing that there is a possibility that methanol or some kind of methanol product would have been accessed by the children. What is the strategy there as far as litigation is concerned? Are people there that you're looking at holding accountable for maybe a lack of compliance, for a lack of being strict in terms of enforcing certain regulations and so on and so forth?
Well, I think there's a differentiation we must make between the criminal process that is currently underway and also then a civil process that might be following. Now, we are allowing the authorities in respect of the criminal investigation to conduct the investigations and to proceed with that process whilst we are keeping an oversight position on those rollouts. But what we are looking here at is a potential civil litigation in respect of the negligent deaths of the youths at the Enyobeni tavern. So, Taba, to be very specific, it was even the president that said during the funeral, and I quote, "There is, however, blame to be laid." Yeah. So we are very sure that some way, somehow, whether it would be the tavern owner, the bouncers, the enforcement of bylaws, the liquor board, SAPS, who was aware of the concerns from the community of this specific tavern. We need to establish where this blame is to be laid, as the president of the country has also indicated. I
see. So I gather at this point you're still not sure. I think my question was a little bit more pointed in that regard. Are you saying you're going to be suing government? Are you going to be suing liquor authorities, liquor producers? Where exactly? So you're still getting legal advice as to where you should be pointing that accountability?
I do think it would be preemptive to establish exactly where the accountability would lie when we have yet to receive the exact cause of death. But as I say, we are engaging with the legal fraternity. We know what the bylaws say. We know what the community says. So we are making an assessment of that. And based on that assessment, as well as the engagements with the family, we are basically putting in place support that should the families wish to take it up, that the Human Rights Commission is in a position to provide them with that.
Yeah. Around the issues that we know so far, for example, that minors were definitely served alcohol or sold alcohol, and we know that there are people already arrested around that. I mean, is that something that is already clear to you as to which direction you would want to take that legally?
Well, as I've indicated, Tabo, there's a differentiation between the criminal and the civil processes here. Now, the criminal processes, this matter was brought to light by the liquor board, and they had then instituted, or they laid a complaint with SAPS, and then these people were arrested. That's one avenue of the law that was broken. Now, for us, it would be to unpack what else? Yeah. And that would be from a civil point of view, and that may be even to bring a bit of a highlight to fast-tracking these investigations and making sure that they cross their T's and they dot their I's, to allow also for some form of resolution and conclusion to this very uncertain time for the families. Ours is now to support these grieving families by any means necessary.
Speaking of the families, it might be a little bit of an obvious question, but is there appetite for pursuing a civil litigation from the families? Have they voiced that so?
Yes, they have indeed done so.
Yeah. All right, Dr. Eileen, much appreciated, and thank you very much for coming on and bringing us clarity then on those issues. Eastern Cape, South African Human Rights Commission head there, Dr. Eileen Carter.